What's good, everyone? Audiolithic Mac back in the building with another video. Now, in this video, I'm going to explore a curious dilemma. Now, do any of you recall a few months ago where this guy came on TikTok or Instagram claiming that there is no footage of Dr. Dre making any beats? Like, where's the footage of Dr. Dre making beats? I know a lot of you probably remember that video. And he took a lot of backlash from that. And why? Because he didn't have the proper evidence. He didn't have any proof to substantiate his claim. Right? So how could he back up his stance when there was no proof to back up what he was saying? But does that mean he is entirely wrong? That's the question, right? So what I did after noticing certain behaviors on YouTube, right? When it comes to certain creators, there are certain creators where they say, yeah, make some beats, post them online. Yet we haven't seen them actually make a beat. We've seen them play beats, per se, but we haven't actually seen them make a beat. And it kind of questions everything, especially when you look at recent credits showing that other individuals pretty much made the beat. And you're just a producer, quote unquote, credited for being, but not the one that actually made the beat. So one would then ask, is Dr. Dre in that same category of just an individual who doesn't really make the beat, but he's just a creative mind, quote unquote, behind the music? Well, let's explore this dilemma. We're going to start off by looking at the song The Watcher by Dr. Dre. It was from his 1999 to 2001 album, The Chronic 2000, right? Now, what interests me about this album, because this is one of my favorite albums. I used to jam this album all the time in my car because the sonics in that album are just immaculate. I mean, just hard hitting, loud, booming your speakers. I mean, the clarity. I mean, it was a great sounding album, right? But I mean, we all assumed Dre did everything. I mean, when I was a kid at the time, or a young adult at the time, a teenager, whatever, I, was under the impression that Dre did everything. There was no bassist, there was no keyboardist, there was no drummer or percussionist or programmer. Everyone figured that from NWA to the Chronic to the Aftermath to Dr. Dre, the Chronic 2000, that he did everything. But there's a such thing called credits that many people don't read. But we're going to examine the credits because the credits are what is known in analytical studies and research as the facts. So the credits are the facts. So if Dre actually does make his beats, the credits will show that he actually made the beat, right? So let's examine the credits for The Watcher, right? Producer, Dr. Dre, and I remember Mailman. Who is Mailman? Who is this guy Mailman? We will explore Mailman further after we examine the credits. Writers, Andre Young, Dr. Dre, and Marshall Mathers, right? And we have the background vocals. Mixing engineer. Now, this is very interesting because it says Richard Siegel Heredia, and Dr. Dre. Now, we've all seen the images of Dr. Dre behind an SSL mixing board. We assume that Dre's doing all the mixing. But why is this Richard Siegel Heredia in front of Dr. Dre's name? Maybe it's because Richard Siegel is the one that's doing the mixing and possibly telling Dre or giving Dre hints and tips on what to do. Or maybe it's Dr. Dre, since he doesn't have the academic background in mixing engineering, he's telling Richard, hey, Rich, can you do something with the kick? Do something with the snare to boost it up a bit? Because Dre doesn't actually know how to do it. Richard does, though. And maybe that's the possible explanation on why he is credited for being the mixing engineer. Okay. Keyboards. Scott Storch and Camera Kanban. Right? So clearly we know now, because of Scott Storch's personal testimony, that he was the one playing all the keys. The one playing all the strings, all the keyboard elements within the production. So we can say right now that Dre did not do the keys. We can say that right now. It was Scott Storch and Camera Kanban that were doing the keys. We can eliminate Dre from the keys. Okay. Now, bass guitar, Mike Elizondo. And we also know that Colin Wolfe played the bass on many of those Dre tracks as well. So we can eliminate Dr. Dre from being the bassist, right? We can eliminate him, right? And we know the rest was a sample. The drums were a sample. So giving that the drums were samples, right? Giving that the bassist was Mike Elizondo and Colin Wolfe, giving that the keyboards were performed by Scott Storch and Camera Kanban, what exactly did Dr. Dre do in the song? Absolutely nothing, people, other than be the creative mind in the song. That's it. So, of course, you're not going to see any footage of Dr. Dre making this beat because he didn't make the beat. Other people did and were credited for making those tracks. That's why you have to look at the credits. Look at the facts. Not just making up stuff saying, oh, well, there's no footage of Dr. Dre making a beat. Okay, show us credible, factual evidence to support your claim. The evidence that we have to support that claim are the credits, the album credits. And according to the album credits, yes, Dr. Dre did not make the beat The Watcher. He did not make it. All he did was give his creative flow or creative approach as a producer regarding the song. But we don't even know if he actually did that. Maybe they gave Dre a couple of tidbits. Hey, Dre, let's go ahead and play the bass on that. Hey, Dre, let's add some strings on that. Hey, Dre, these drums, they're not it, Dre. How about these drums? And then Dre gives his seal of approval. But that's not out of the ordinary when it comes to being a producer. James Brown, for instance. He had the JBs. He had a band. Did James Brown play the horns or the guitar or the drums? No. Now, some of his songs, he actually played the piano and the organ, but the bulk of his tracks were done by the JBs, the Maceo Parkers, the Fred Wesleys, and bassists such as Bootsy Collins, and drummers such as Jabbo Starks and Clyde Stubblefield. They're the ones who actually made the tracks, made the records, made the music. James Brown just orchestrated the band where they needed to play when it comes to certain grooves and how to craft the sound. That's all he did. So Quincy Jones was another one. He didn't play any instruments. All he did was orchestrate the sound. Another example is Barry White. Barry White had his Love Orchestra, Unlimited Orchestra. The Love Unlimited Orchestra is what played the music. All Barry White did was just orchestrate the sound and lay vocals on top of it. That's it. So if you look at those three examples, right? James Brown, Barry White, and Quincy Jones, and bring them 30 years into the future, right? When we have beat machines and synthesizers and stuff like that. Yeah, you would not have any footage of them making any beats because there would be other people creating the beats, creating the drums, playing the keys, and crafting the song. So no, you would not have any footage of Dr. Dre or any of those three actually making a beat because they are just the producers. They just have the creative mind. Another example is Rick Rubin. Rick Rubin produced many classic hip hop tracks, but did not make a single beat. These are the facts. He was just the creative mind behind it. You know what I'm saying? So, with that explanation being given, we're going to examine Mr. Mailman here. Mailman record producer, right? Real name Melvin Charles Bradford. Now, Melvin Charles Bradford, West Coast hip hop record producer, songwriter from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, signed with Aftermath Entertainment, right? Now, here's some key information because they don't really have much information regarding Mailman and his background. But here are some keys here, right, on this Wikipedia. A man named Michael Lowe filed a copyright infringement lawsuit against Exhibit, Dr. Dre, and Bradford about the song X. Remember the song X by Exhibit? Right. In 2002, French jazz pianist Jacques Lussier filed a $10 million lawsuit that was later settled. It was later settled. That tells you right there they were guilty. They were liable because it was later settled, right? The lawsuit claimed the beat for the Eminem track Kill You was stolen from his song Pulsion. Now, the reason why I brought this particular example up is because you have these producers with these groups, right? Or you have people affiliated with these Akai MPC groups, with people posting beats, right? And you always see these guys say, yeah, post your beats, post beats. Why, would you may ask, they want you to post beats? Because they can craft your ideas. And that's the reason why you don't see Billboard producers posting beats. You don't see Billboard producers posting anything on social media. The only time they'll post a song is when the paperwork has already been completed on that song and it's officially released. Then you will hear the song on YouTube or on streaming platforms or being distributed by companies that they are under contract with. They're not just blindly posting beats and ideas for other people to rip them off. Because if you have a beat and an idea, I'm telling you, there are people out there that will rip you off, steal your idea. I'm telling you, it happens. There are people right now taking beats, ripping beats, and selling them on Bandcamp for $2 a pop. It's happening, especially those who are overseas, because their standards are very different than American standards. A lot of them just don't even give a damn. They'll just steal your stuff and the hell with it. So you need to be very careful when it comes to posting beats online. And to Bolo's credit, people, go on Bolo's tip. All you do is trap beats. Those simple, simple beats. But I tell you what, those simple, simple beats, most people are not going to jack simple, simple beats. And Bolo, he has the potential to make a professional song, but he's not going to put that professional beat for everyone to listen to and jack unless there's paperwork behind that beat. So no, you're not going to see Bolo make a hot track or post a hot track without the paperwork to protect his intellectual property. That's how it works, people. That's how the music industry really works. But these YouTubers want you to break a couple of rules and skip a couple of processes on the way. And in your mind, you're thinking, oh, people can enjoy my beats. No, you have individuals that are lurking for your ideas. And then they will make a beat. And then you will be like, well, damn, that's my beat. Remember Timbaland and the AI situation?
I want you to listen to not only this beat, but I want you to listen for his producer tag. You'll hear it in a second. Listen to this for a second. You heard that? Pay attention to that. This beat is hard. Shout out to K Fresh. Look at this video. Tell me what you hear. Now, this video was posted some months ago, so it's already been in circulation. Nobody just did this after all the announcements came out about Tata. Listen to this beat for me, and you let me know what you hear. Not only are those elements of the sound of the beat that you just heard, in my opinion, but you also hear the man's tag. Oh. What are we doing here? This is a beat that says in the title, Timbaland makes a beat with Suno AI. The same Suno that I showed you here that says, I quote, trains their data, including essentially all music files of reasonable quality that are accessible on the open internet.
Remember that? Where a popular TikTok and social media producer had his beat stolen by Timbaland from you while using AI. So if you don't think they're stealing your ideas, you are highly naive, I have to say. But credits. And as you can see here with Mr. Mailman, right? He is credited with a lot of tracks, a lot of Dr. Dre tracks. And you would ask, why would Dr. Dre have a sidekick, Mailman? The same way Dr. Dre had a sidekick with Ruthless Records with Chris the Glove Taylor, who also claimed that he was the one that was making all of those tracks. I mean, like I said before, facts matter. And we can't just make up stuff without hard evidence. The hard evidence suggests that many of Dr. Dre's tracks were not produced, right? Let's kind of clarify that term. They were created by other people, not Dr. Dre. The beats, the keys, the orchestration were created by other people. All Dr. Dre did was assist on the creative process and the instruction. But since it was his project and the labels paid him for the project, it's his duty to find talent to assist him so that the project would sound its best. That's the process, people. When it comes to music production on a professional level, that is the process. And yes, there's going to be many occasions that your most beloved producer didn't do anything on that track, other than be the creative mind behind it. He didn't make the beats. He didn't perform the keys. He didn't play the keys. He didn't create the drums. And of course, there are samples, so you have to get sample clearance. So he didn't do that. The originators of that particular sample crafted that sound. He didn't. He just borrowed it for a fee. You see what I'm saying? So for those who may question, well, I have never seen Dr. Dre make a beat, that's honestly a viable question. Because there's probably no footage of him making the beat, because a lot of his songs, he didn't make the beat. The credits show it. He didn't make the beat. He didn't play he didn't play the drums. He didn't play the bass. He didn't play the keys. Somebody else did that. So you're going to see footage of them playing the keys, or them playing the bass, or them programming the drums, or getting to sample. Or Dr. Dre may have acquired the sample because of his taste and just wanted to hire real musicians to mimic that sound. Is there anything wrong with that? No, because that's his project and he's getting paid for that project, and he has to meet a certain deadline for that project. Because if he doesn't meet a deadline for that project and that music is not successful at resonating with an audience, guess what happens? He gets cut. He gets the boot. That's what happens, people. So when you're at a rock and a hard place, you need help, put it like that, when you're in a rock and a hard place. If you can't do it, you better find somebody who will and who can do it. And that's what Dre did. And that's what a lot of other artists have done in the past and still doing. That's what a producer is. A producer is not a beat maker. A producer is not a bass guitarist. A producer is an individual who has an idea and by any means musically will bring forth that idea to life. That's what a producer is. I hope that answers the question, or many questions for some of you. And I hope to see you the next video. Peace out. Thanks for the support and take care. Bye-bye.